Welcome to The Second Cup, Conversations After the Podcast. Hello and welcome to The Second Cup with Common Grounds Unity. I'm Drew Baker and today I'm with John Nugent and we are at the Stone Campbell Journal Conference. So I'm going to ask John, he's been coming here. How long have you been coming to Stone Campbell Journal?
I think from the beginning.
So that's 22?
Yeah, maybe. I've missed a year or two, but I've been probably at an overwhelming majority of their gatherings back in Cincinnati and Lincoln, and as the conference has migrated around the country.
Wow. So what is it about this conference that keeps you coming back year after year?
Yeah. What I love about it, I think, is it's a good place for people who see themselves growing in scholarship in the Restoration movement to get a foothold, to get a starting place. I was able to write my first publication ever for the Stone Campbell Journal. It was a book review of a book by Alistair McGrath on creeds, right? And it kind of was a confidence builder that they would accept my book review, right? To see my name in print for the first time, and my first article that I published in a scholarly journal was through the Stone Campbell Journal. And so here is a place that wants to see Christian church people grow into serious scholars and give them a place to start. A lot of different denominations have denominational journals, right? That are the places where their folk can get their start. For me, that's what it was. And getting in front of a group of peers and to deliver papers, I probably delivered about 15 papers at these conferences year after year, and was invited one year to give a plenary address, showcasing some of my own scholarship before the whole group. So I think it's a place that's welcoming for Christian church folk. You have receptive listeners that are not here to tear your ideas down, but to challenge them and make you think more critically and maybe highlight what they think might be a blind spot that you have, and gets you a chance to show whether that spot's there after all.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, this is my first time to
the
Campbell Journal Conference, so I am thrilled to be here. What spurred you to write this book? You're the editor of this book, so you write a chapter in there, but you also bring in a lot of different voices. What was the impulse that made you decide this is something I want to pour my heart into?
Yeah, part of it was what I believe was the state of the Christian churches in Michigan. I've been teaching at a Christian college for a long time, and there's a lot of people who love Jesus, love the Bible, and they're kind of fallen out of touch with our restoration heritage. And I saw that an important service that our college could have to our wider churches that support us is to increase their knowledge of the Christian Church of Christ. And so we started an annual seminar called Restoration Appreciation at Great Lakes. And so we bring in a big namer from outside the college, and we bring in someone from within the college, and we have a lectureship of 2 really quality presentations about the restoration movement to raise awareness of our rich heritage, to instruct our own students so that they each year can kind of spend a week thinking about the restoration heritage. And it's done a lot to remind our churches where they've come from, which has kind of given them some understanding of what is their place as a movement in the Christian world today. I think we've got some amazing chapters in here. I'm fond about the chapter by Jim Amstutz about bridging the gap between the Church of Christ non-instrumental and the Christian churches. I think that's an outstanding chapter. Kate Blakely's chapter on humble hermeneutics, like if Scripture is going to be a big deal, how we read Scripture humbly and open-handed when it comes to our doctrine and our interpretations is a huge part of being a Campbellite, and something we learned from Campbell himself. We have an excellent chapter by Jerry Harris on appreciating the African-American roots of the Christian churches, especially the churches of Christ. We have some major thinkers who were involved, like Fred Gray, in the civil rights movement. And in an age where we're rethinking about the all-white nature of a lot of our churches, to know that in our history is a strong African-American tradition, that the ideals of the Restoration have been attractive to African-Americans, and yet our churches have not been places where integration is regularly seen. And so I think there's some historical essays in there to kind of know where the Restoration movement has come from, what are our core ideals, what are the challenges of the present, and what are some hopeful resources for engaging the Restoration movement and remaining relevant today. So the book was created to be an ideal resource for congregations. It's a thin little book. Each chapter ends with substantive study questions. I've read lots of books that have study questions at the end of the chapters. It's kind of like, ugh. But these questions are really important conversation starting questions. So this is meant to be used in a church book club that, could meet to gather and talk about this. This is being used in college classrooms to supplement major textbooks on the Restoration Movement, because it kind of gets into where the Restoration Movement principles hit the life of churches today. So it kind of brings in the history with the current state of the question. So yeah, I'd recommend it as a book that churches pick up and build some literacy among our people about the roots that we have and the promise that our tradition has for the worldwide church today.